Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Carter. I love talking about movies, horror movies, comic books, and superheroes. And I checked out a movie that I've been finally able to check out. I've been waiting for it for quite a long time. It's Humane, directed by Caitlin Cronenberg. If you aren't aware, Caitlin Cronenberg is the daughter of David Cronenberg, who is a really famous director, especially when it comes to body horror. He's done movies like The Fly, Scanners, but he's done a bunch of really famous movies. Most notably, he is known for a bunch of body horror in his films and just pushing the boundaries of makeup, special effects, and just being grotesque. As someone who's been really loving horror the last couple years, I've watched a few David Cronenberg films trying to branch out. He has a son, Brandon Cronenberg, who's done Possessor and Infinity Pool, which I need to watch still, unfortunately. But I saw the trailer for this, heard the premise? I can never pronounce that word right. I know I'm gonna get flamed. I don't even care. I saw the description, synopsis, I'm just gonna say synopsis, of the film. And basically it follows a wealthy father who calls his family to his house and announces that he is signing up for the government's euthanasia program because a devastating virus or climate change, something is wiping out a ton of people, and so people need to sign up to be euthanized. It's directed by Caitlin Cronenberg, got a script penned by Michael Sparaga, stars Jay Baruchel, Emily Hampshire, and Peter Gallagher, and doing the cinematography is Douglas Koch. It's Koch. It could really go any number of ways. Have you guys seen Humane? Let me know in the comment section down below if you're excited for this film, if you've seen it. Let me know what you thought. And starting right out with my positives, the biggest one that I came out of this movie with was just the idea, the concept of this film is really interesting. I love bottle movies. I just watched Last Stop in Yuma County, which is kind of a bottle movie. I'll talk about that in my next video. I also really loved Your Lucky Day from last year. Films like The Hateful Eight go on and on and on. But basically, Humane follows that template of they're in this one location and tensions rise. That idea of the beginning of, okay, climate change has created a world where everybody is in danger. Like, they hide from the sun, they always have umbrellas. And the first act of this film had me absolutely hooked. I was really invested, really engaged. I thought the performances all around were pretty decent. There are a few people who didn't quite give performances that I felt fit the tone or kind of clashed with the tone of the movie, and I'll talk about that in my negatives. But the idea, the central concept was very strong and had me hooked from the beginning. Just that simple plot synopsis that I was given made it rise to the top of my watch list and made it something that I was like, I'm gonna pay $7 to rent this. It's not showing near me. I would have gone to the theater and saw this one. I prefer the theater 10 times out of 10, but I didn't have a choice. I had to rent it. And when I watched it, I was engaged, I was invested. At least for the first part. Like I've kind of been alluding to, this is a movie that loses a ton of steam going down the line. While I did enjoy some aspects of the film, like Jay Baruchel's performance, he's someone that usually works for me, especially his recent work like Blackberry from last year, which I adored. His shtick of being so awkward, he's kind of funny, worked for me. And there's some genuinely funny moments in this film, mostly revolving around his character. There is another character named Bob that they use for comedic value, and I didn't find him really that funny at all. He was sleazy of sorts, just this weird government dude that's quirky, and I didn't really find his antics funny. Every time they cut away to Bob or Bob was introduced, I found that the film slowed down immensely, and I just wanted to get back to the central plot. And without giving too much away, I liked what they set up in this film. I'm trying so hard not to give anything away. I think there's moments to where they're like, hey, there's some information about all of you. We're gonna kind of go through some of it, and that was very interesting. They only do it for one or two characters, and then they drop it. It's just completely gone. All of these characters have so much interest surrounding them. There's so many things that you want to know about them. They're interesting characters, at least in the first act, but the film just drops that. And so I guess getting right into my mixed, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This was a movie to where I was immensely disappointed. Caitlin Cronenberg and Michael Sparaga, the writer and the director, they just feel like they came together to make a movie that wanted to hammer home all these issues. And so I'm going to make a Fallout analogy because I've been playing Fallout. In Fallout, you get, experience points. In RPG games, you get experience points. There's like 5 categories and you get 5 points to spend them on. And the dumbest thing you can do is like 1 in health, 1 in stamina, and this is so nerdy, wow. You evenly distribute those 5 points, so you have a little bit of everything, but you're not good at anything. You touch all your bases, but you're not really good at anything, and this is that film for me. And I'm just going to be honest, the mix and the negatives are kind of in the same boat here, so this film really tries to do so much, and I feel like it ends up coming away with nothing. It tries to touch on issues like climate change, racism, classism, sexism, wealth distribution, nepotism, issues with like adopted versus biological kids, drug abuse, government power, greed, and like there's a ton of very thin COVID metaphors and allegories in this film that I felt just a lot of it fell flat on its face. Characters will say like something so on the nose. It could be interesting, but it's just so on the nose, so in your face that it doesn't have any form of subtlety. And I'm sure that's what they were going for. They just wanted to be very direct with it. It's, kind of a satire, and the tone of this is very dark comedy. However, I feel like this would have worked so much better as a straightforward thriller with bits and pieces of humor. Like I said, the central idea, the core idea is really strong and interesting, but the execution is awful. And the way the plot evolves is just the most boring, mundane, repetitive thing, to where at the end of the film I was extremely disappointed. Technically, the film has moments of beauty, but the lighting just feels so flat. It's lit like a CW episode. I apologize, I feel like I'm being really mean, but it just feels very flat. It has the look of a student film sometimes. I say that as someone who makes student films. I know how they look. And the tone is all over the place. There will be a joke, and then like some horrific act will happen, or something happens that you think would turn the movie, dial it up to 11. Like, this is the inciting incident. It just got real. It's like the amount of jokes is about to dramatically decline, but that's not how it goes. Instead, it ramps it up. And there's a world where this could have worked, but again, I think that this screenwriter was just trying to do so much with his script. So many different ideas that just come and mesh together and just create one big ball of goop. And it doesn't really have anything to say. It has so much to say and yet nothing. It's just kind of this empty allegory pointing fingers at so many issues saying, look at this, look at this, look at this. This is kind of funny. And then it just ends. And the ending was very disappointing, very underwhelming. I didn't enjoy the ending whatsoever. I felt as the movie went on, it got less interesting, less engaging, and my goodwill towards it just zapped down to 0. And I really am bummed about this one. I was looking forward to it, but unfortunately, Humane just is a tonal mess. The editing feels so strange. It abuses the cut to black trope. There's multiple in the film. The characters, although this was their intent, they're all unlikable, and it's just not very interesting to watch after the first 20 to 30 minutes. It's very repetitive, very rinse, repeat, this happens, and I thought a few of the performances, especially from Bob and the daughter Mia, the granddaughter, felt kind of in a different movie than this one. It just felt very weak, felt very wrong, and so I feel like the film wraps up in a way that just feels very disingenuous and very disappointing. So overall, I'm going to give Humane a 3.5 out of 10. Very disappointing for me. I was very bummed about this one. I really wanted to love it. Unfortunately, it just wasn't for me. Because no one I know has seen it, so I'd love to hear what you think. My camera stopped recording in the last 5 seconds. Thank you so much for everything. As always, have a great rest of your day.